Alf Morris, The Man. This short film introduces us to members of the family of Alf Morris. Alfred Morris, later Lord Morris of Manchester. The family are gathered around a garden table, looking through photographs of the great man. It shows close-ups of some of the photos and a few interviews. At the beginning of the film, a black and white photo fills the screen. It's taken on election night in Wythenshawe in 1964. Alf, in his late 30s, has thick, dark, wavy hair. He's been hoisted aloft by his supporters. He wears a suit and tie, and decorating his lapel is a large Labour rosette. He's smiling broadly as he reaches to shake the hand of his brother Charles, who also has dark wavy hair. Alf's wife, Irene, is amongst the crowd of people smiling and applauding. We hear from Alf's widow, Irene, who sits on her sofa inside, holding a framed wedding photograph of her and her late husband. She's a glamorous older woman with soft white hair, earrings and necklaces, wearing a short-sleeved cream summer blouse and a patterned skirt. We then move outside, with all the family looking through the photograph albums. Family members include Alf and Irene's sons and daughters, and some of their grandchildren. All are dressed for the summer. Colour photos show Alf and family in various homemade fancy dress outfits, larking about. Other colour photos capture Alf cradling a baby, smiling broadly, or surrounded by grandchildren, or with various members of the family, including the grandson Tom, whom we hear from. He's now a big young man with ginger beard and hair and a little top knot. Black and white and colour photos show Alf giving speeches, including one for the Cooperative Society. There are black and white photos of Alf as a boy with round, chubby cheeks and a big smile, and a bit of a pudding basin haircut. As a young man, he's smiling with his arm around his mother, and later a photo shows him with his own family and his ageing mother. Photographs show him at various stages of his life, with Irene as a young couple, the two on their wedding day in 1950, as parents of 4 young children, of Alf playing outside with his children, of Alf meeting disabled people, and of Alf meeting the Queen. Black and white film from the Northwest Film Archive reveals the back-to-back terraces and chimneys of the industrial city of Manchester. It shows a woman doing her laundry in her scullery, the bomb-damaged city streets, and children playing outside. In an interview with Alf in 2007, he's speaking directly to us from his office, sitting in a bay window. He wears a smart grey jacket, checked blue shirt, and blue tie flecked with white. He's a heavily built older man with wavy, silvery hair and blue eyes. During the film, we also hear from Eamon O'Neill, High Sheriff for Greater Manchester. He's filmed outside in a town centre, a middle-aged white man wearing a suit and tie and his official badge. We hear from Mike Kane, MP. He's a middle-aged white man with short grey hair. The credits for the film list the contributors in order of appearance: Irene Morris, Tom Morris, Jill Morris, Amy Morris, Katie Morris, Mike Kane, MP, Alf Morris, Eamon O'Neill, High Sheriff, and Paul Morris. Archive footage: ITV Granada Reports 2007, the Morris Family Archive, the Northwest Film Archive at Manchester Metropolitan University, and the Parliamentary Recording Unit. Thanks go to Access All Areas, Cross Street Chapel, Sarah Hawley, Derek Kinraid, Eamon O'Neill, St Luke's Church, Wythenshawe, the Morris Family, the Orpheus Centre, Lucy West, and Janet Woolstenholme. The composer is James Holt. Dubbing mixer Pip Norton. Boom operator Maxim Shannon. Online editor Sue Giovanni. Archive researcher Benjamin Spiro Hughes. Development producer Richard Helder. Directors of photography Laura Seward and Martin Veselinov. Editor Rebecca Ginn. Director James Dan. Executive producers Jules Hussey and Karen Shannon. Logos appear for Manchester Histories and for Brazen, the film producers. Copyright is 2020. Audio description by Anne Hornsby of Mind's Eye.
He recognised certain things weren't right, and when the opportunity to do something came, he took it.
Show me a picture.
Look at his hair, Nana.
I was 7 years old. I had no control of what hair I had.
I like
this one
that.
she doesn't like.
See, she don't like
She likes that one.
I like that one. I said, look at Tom here. Look.
Blossom. Tom. You really have blossom.
This is a good one here. So this was Auntie Jill's birthday.
At 50th.
And something great about Grandad is that he loved fancy dress and he loved dressing up and putting hats on and whatnot. And in this picture, he's got Kanye West glasses and a great hat, and he had a big cigar.
Every time we come in and every time we go, he'd sort of give us a cuddle, and then our head go.
Every time.
Every time.
Every time.
And we just sort of like put our head there and his.
I think he always listened, and that's something that was really important. He always encouraged you to talk, use your voice. He always encouraged you to go out and do things.
He involved us in all of it. He'd always get his legislation out and show us it. Then we understood the capacity of what he had done for people and how he'd changed the world. Having someone like that around you who sees an injustice and is affected by it enough to change, it makes you like that as well.
It was his personal story about his father being gassed in the war and having to live on a hospital bed in his front room, gasping for air. That was why he was radicalised into fighting for disability rights.
My father was incapacitated physically, so he was multiply disabled by war. Yet on his death certificate, it said that he died of cardiac failure, therefore that my mother would not be classified as a war widow. She wasn't told how to improve her standard of life. She was told how to economise on her husband's funeral. That to her was very wounding, and for the rest of her life she used to talk with some anguish, a mixture of anguish and anger, about the unfeeling approach to her when my father died. It was something that had a very deep effect on me as well.
There is an element of Mancunianism that allowed Alf, to where he was born in Ancoats. I mean, it's gentrified now, but it wasn't then. He's got great history, but it was a poor, rough area of Manchester. So he wasn't parachuted in, from a lofty castle. He scrambled around Great Ancoats Street and pulled himself up.
Oh, that's Alf as a kid. Do you know they were rehoused from Ancoats? There was 20-odd houses, so there was at least 10 kids in every house.
When we were younger, he used to tell us a lot of stories about when he was growing up, but as you grow up, you then realise how bad it was.
But he was always very positive about it. It never held him back, and it was never a negative. And it was where he met Nana, it's where he started his life, and it's where he saw injustice, it's where he saw things happen. And from that, it's what made him who he was and want to do better and want to change and want to do great things. Although it can seem maybe as quite a challenging start, that's the foundation of what grew and what he achieved.
If you were wrong, he would make sure it sounded right. He would always find that moral hook, really, to sort of say, well, actually, I think you'll find that your window is in the wrong place when you smashed it. He absolutely was always saying, if it wasn't for your mother, I wouldn't be where I was today, because she's given up an awful lot, and she did.
Well, I never thought about it like that. You
I
didn't
know,
then.
because you're too modest to say, but you did give up an awful lot. And, you know, because you had 4 children, you would have been definitely my dad's equal. He didn't want to do anything unless Mum was there. She was always by his side because he just adored her.
Alf Morris was a real true pioneer because he saw injustices, and only 6 years or so after he entered the House of Commons, he changed the world. And it was a lifelong project. He was a real visionary, he was a pioneer, and he had the heart of the people in his heart.
There was no legislation ever before on dyslexia. In fact, I was told by the Minister of Education at the time that it doesn't exist. And I said, well, I'll be keeping the clause. If it doesn't exist, it won't cost you anything. On many occasions, it was said when I introduced the bill to repatriate Australia's constitution that I'd be opening the floodgates for every other former colony of this country. And I said, well, I'm a serial saboteur of floodgates. It was necessary to open the floodgates for more disabled people to get mobility help, for dyslexic children to enter mainstream schooling, for the recognition of autism.
But that was his stubbornness. If he got a bee in his bonnet, that was a part of his persistence.
My dad didn't really worry about, you know, whether he was popular or not. As long as he thought he was right and it was a good moral case, he would plough on and he would never give up.
We all have our own stories of family members who have disabilities, and Alf was their champion, and even beyond the grave continues to be their champion today.
I idolised him. He was like a movie star to me.
He played cricket with us, and he actually played for the House of Commons. No one can ever remember him fielding. He was either batting or bowling.
My granddad Alf inspired me to care about people, and that's why I've gone into teaching.
My granddad Alf is the best granddad I could have asked for. Having that good role model in your life influences you.
Granddad always said to us, you treat people how you find them, and you don't judge them. You just take them for what you can, and you listen and you nurture.
He loved his roses. You have to be tough to be a rose. And let's say, well, you don't have roses without thorns. And I think he liked the smell. I think he liked them because they were tough and they were beautiful, yeah.